Jez and Friends podcast, episode number 38. Today we have a special guest from the Inside Running podcast, Brady. How's it going, mate?
Yeah, good, Jez. I wouldn't say special guest, just another person having a conversation on the podcast with you. So I was just saying off air, I'm a bit husky tonight. So if people do recognise me from the Inside Running podcast, the voice might sound a bit differently. But yeah, looking forward to talking to you for the next little bit.
Pleasure, mate. So the topics we're going to be covering today, mainly running, because obviously I know you run a running podcast, you run quite a fair bit. Brady will probably give me a few tips as well. He'll talk about running a podcast because it is quite a bit of work as well. Like lots of stuff goes behind the scenes. Other sports you follow, I'm not sure what you follow, but we'll discuss that later on. Living in Echuca, Moamas. I Googled it. It seems like a reasonable spot past Kyabra. The first question is called hypotheticals. Essentially, if you could change one thing about the world, what would it be and why? A bit of a broad question, but what do you reckon, mate?
Yeah, I'm a big fan of hypotheticals. I guess it'd have to be global hunger, wouldn't it? Like and world peace. I guess they're probably the big things that I'd be changing. Just it's kind of so sad to think that people go to bed hungry and wake up hungry every night and every morning, and the fact that people in some countries and different parts of the world just don't feel safe. It's something that we take for granted here living in Australia, and have the support structures in place that if you can't afford food and stuff, there's people that can help you out and different kind of support packages there. But yeah, if we could change that on a global level, I think that would be my one wish, to be able to click my fingers and make that happen on a worldwide kind of scale.
Yeah, 100%. That's amazing because in my year 11 food studies class, we actually found out that Australia produces like 3 times the amount of food we actually eat. So like imagine all like the extra food could go to like other less fortunate countries. Unfortunately that just goes to landfill or stuff like that.
Yeah, my first job, I remember I was working in a local IGA supermarket, and the amount of food we used to throw out, that was just, we used to always throw, it was all best before. So not necessarily used by, but just best before food that we couldn't have sitting on the shelves anymore would just get, chucked in big garbage bags and tied up and chucked in the big dumpster out the back. And it's like, this could be going to people people in the streets, or, people who are really struggling for meals and stuff. It's not going to be great food for them, but it's going to sustain them. And yeah, I'm sure there's, it's not my kind of expertise, but I'm sure there's programs in place now that, make that happen and stuff. So maybe we just got to think a bit smarter about how we do these kind of things and look at different systems and get the right people involved. And yeah, I wasn't expecting we'd be talking about this, mate, in the first couple of minutes, but yeah, it's a very interesting topic that we're on so far.
Yeah, true. That's what hypotheticals, I guess, brings every week. Always something different.
Yep.
Yeah. So the next topic we'll talk about now is we love a bit of music on the podcast. Everyone obviously has a different taste. So I've heard you listen to a bit of Taylor Swift on your run sometimes. I think that what types of music?
that's my co-host. You're confusing me, and he's Brad, I'm Brady. So I can see how you've done that, but
You guys
I've definitely got it. We do sound. Oh yeah, I don't know. My voice is a bit higher than his, but he's a bit older than me as well. But no, that's definitely Brad Croker who likes the Taylor Swift. It's I've got to get that straight. I don't mind her. I watched her documentary. She's got some good songs and stuff, but he listens to her all the time. And for me, I kind of just listen to like a bit of everything, to be honest. I was listening to a bit of Kevin Abstract today from Brockhampton. I enjoy kind of his rap, and I'll jump in and out. I'll say like Travis Scott and Juice WRLD and things like that as well. And then I'll go back to
nice, good as
I don't know, anything that's kind of like getting around and stuff at the moment. I'm 33, so I still try to stay relatively hip with the music and stuff. And I'm a teacher as well, so whenever I go to schools and I'm teaching the kind of year 10 and 11s, I just try to ask them what they're listening to. And been to some good gigs over there. I saw Daft Punk when they played in Melbourne back in probably 2000 and I'm going to say 2007 that would have been. That was, I think they've only come to Melbourne once, and I was there that night that they played at the Sydney Music Maya Bowl, so that was really good. I remember seeing Eminem at Marvel Stadium. He was pretty good. Kanye West at Big Day Out back in the day, he was really good. And, yeah, I kind of enjoy my music. And I think because I live in a town where I do so much running by myself, I'm constantly running and listening to music and podcasts and things like that. So, yeah, a massive fan of all different genres of music, I suppose.
Yeah. What would you say your favorite Juice WRLD song is?
Oh, the one at the moment. Can I pull out my phone?
Yeah,
The
yeah.
one that
No,
was
go for it.
the one that was in the hottest 100.
100.
It came in at Triple J's hottest 100. It came in like number 60, I reckon it was. Give me 2 seconds because it's just on the top of my list at the moment.
Yeah, no.
I'll Come and Go with Marshmallow.
Come and Go. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you know the one I'm talking about? Like, I like the
Yeah.
build of that, and it's good to run to. And,
Yeah, and a little like
you know,
beat drop afterwards.
yeah, once
Yeah, no.
that beat drops and you're out there running and maybe the sun's rising or the sun's setting, and it's just pretty good and stuff. So, yeah, it's a bit of, yeah, mate, I could go like Mall Rat, the Kid Laroi, Ghostface Killer.
Oh, the Kid Laroi. Yeah, that's beautiful, that.
What about Ghostface Killer? Is that a bit before your time?
Oh, yeah, a bit before, but I'm a big fan of Oasis.
Wu-Tang Clan. Oasis, yeah.
Yeah, Wonderwall.
Yeah, Nas. Yeah, there's a bit of everything in here, mate. Kid Cudi, really enjoyed his album a couple of years ago. The Wombats, The Killers. Yeah, you name it, I'll probably listen to it.
Good stuff, Brady. It's good you're keeping up with the culture and also like having old school music as well.
Yeah, it is good. And we're so lucky now as well. Like, like Spotify, I use pretty regularly, and even just that Discover Weekly, like they've got me so sorted out with that algorithm that I can push play on that. And it's like, I'll find 5 songs that I've never heard before and just be like, it's just so easy. Like back in the day, we had to get on, before your time, like you would download songs off Napster or LimeWire, and it would take us like 10 minutes to download one song illegally. Probably shouldn't be saying this on a podcast and things. Or you'd have to go to the shop and buy a CD, and it'd be like, $15 or $20 for an album. And then, when iTunes come around and stuff, it's just, changed massively. And I suppose, this is what we're both doing now, podcasts and stuff that have grown out of the whole internet, digital kind of music world.
Yeah, for sure. Like music has evolved over the years, and it's good that Spotify and stuff are just constantly changing and improving our lives as well with them. Really good.
Yep.
And we touched on high school, but we'll talk about that more. Like obviously you've been through the high school experience. You want to talk to us about like your high school experience and also like teaching in high school? Because do you teach PE? Is that right?
I'm actually just a fill-in high school teacher. So yesterday I was teaching high school science. Didn't really know what I was doing, but I was doing it for the day. But I'm actually a primary school teacher, trained, and then I do fill-in teaching at high school and stuff. So some days I'll rock up and it's like, you're teaching year 10 English for the day. Some days I'm teaching PE for the day. Sometimes I've got year 12 biology or whatever, and I've just got to, the teachers, you know what it's like when you got a replacement teacher, they kind of, your usual teacher will leave notes, and then I pick that up and try to keep it calm and controlled for the day. And then I go home at the end of the day. So, but my high school experience was an interesting one. I was a really small kid. I just hit puberty really late, more kind of like year 9, year 10. So when everyone started growing in, year 7, year 8, I just stayed super small, super skinny, which meant I was pretty much no good at any sports because, footy and basketball and cricket and all those team sports relied on you having some power and being bigger and things like that. So it was it was hard in a way because, I think image is such a important thing at that year level, at that kind of formative years in high school. So, and we kind of, our ego comes out of that. And when I went to a school with probably 150 kids in each year level. So we actually had two different campuses. So we had like year 7, 8, and 9 in one end of Bendigo, and then year 10, 11, 12 at the other end, just because there were so many kids, they couldn't put them all in the one school. So, out of the 150 kids in my year level, I was probably the the second smallest. There was one other kid who was a bit smaller than me. And then, so it was kind of, in a big school like that, you kind of get lost a bit. Like you're not really sure what you're kind of doing. You just kind of follow the crowd a bit. And it wasn't until probably year 10 that I started running and I started growing as well. So, started running, started winning some races, which helped my confidence, started getting picked in a few kind of like Victorian teams, things like that. And I was kind of a bit lucky because in Bendigo, we didn't have a lot of good runners, like adult kind of runners. So I could kind of win the local races by being, the best 16, 17-year-old in the town. So it wasn't good. I didn't really have many role models, but at the same time, I got that confidence from being able to win races from such a young age. And and the longer high school went, the kind of more confident I got. And, you get a first girlfriend and things like that. You stop getting pimples, you get your braces taken off, all those kind of things just make the world a difference. And I didn't do much work though. I was pretty lazy at school, kind of probably that typical kind of like C+B student without doing much work. And it was good enough to get me into like teaching and stuff, which was good at university. But I look back now and I think about all the work we put into the podcast or my running coaching business or just even my own running. And I wish I kind of put that into my schoolwork because, I reckon I could have got a way better. And what do you guys call them now? Is it ATAR?
Yeah, ATAR.
ATAR, yeah. I reckon I could have got a way better ATAR if I actually tried. But, left me. I wanted to do teaching anyway, so got into that. And then, the rest is kind of history.
Yeah, I reckon we have a pretty similar build, Brady. I'm not sure how tall you are, but I think you're like 5'9" roughly, 5'8"?
Yeah, well, I'm 172 centimeters. I'm not sure what that is. Yeah,
I'm
and about
with like shoes on, so
yep,
a little bit short of it.
But in saying that, like I only got to this height when I was probably like 17, 18. So which is your age if you're year 11. So
I'm turning 17 now, so yeah.
Yeah. So maybe you're still there, whereas this was me. I'm tapped out. I'm not getting any bigger, but you might still find a few centimeters, mate.
Yeah. No, but
we'll see.
For you said like the build and stuff, you struggled with like other sports, was that right? But for me, I found that I was pretty talented with like footy and other sports, like playing in the forward line for footy or mid and stuff, because of my like aerobic capacity and running. Probably like I developed my fundamental skills with like other sports earlier, like at a younger age, which helped me like teenage years possibly, maybe.
Yeah, and like you got to remember that like I didn't have that aerobic running ability yet either. Like that came after for me. So I wasn't. It wasn't like they could say, "Hey, you're going to tag this guy or whatever because we know you can run, or you can, go to the forward pocket and kind of, be super fit at the end of quarters and things like that." So like I had some okay skills, but I would have weighed like, I'm going to say like 45 kilos. Like, and you're going up against people who are, 6 foot, maybe a bit shorter. Kids are growing beards and stuff at that age. And like, I haven't got a hair under my arm at that stage kind of thing. So, so you just like, I had some okay skills and my brother went on he was 20 months younger than me and we were pretty similar kind of skill wise. And he was always kind of like my size, but just 2 years younger. So he went on to win a league best and fairest medal and played a few kind of representative kind of things and played a few senior premierships and stuff like that. But yeah, the thing was I had to play against the kids. If I could play in his age group, I would have been right. But we're just too small, pushed around, and you just don't have enjoyment in it then either. Like you want to go and you want to get a kick and contribute to the team. But I was spending a lot of time on the bench and, not getting much of an opportunity and things like that as well. But then it makes you resilient as well. It's kind of like all those things kind of lead to, you take that into running at 16, 17, what you've learned from footy and the team building and things like that. And it just, makes you probably a better athlete in the end.
Yeah, just quickly, what footy team do you go for?
I go for the Collingwood Magpies. Which is, not something I'm proud of at the moment, and probably more like I'm not one of those Collingwood supporters. Like I'm, when we're winning, I kind of pay a bit of attention. When we're losing, my mates try to give me, a bit of banter about it, but I don't really care too much. I was just probably more disappointed with the stuff that went on over the the summer break with the racism report and all that kind of stuff. Like
That's right.
it's pretty, like, just as I said, disappointing. Like, you want to really support your club, and when you I'm not sure if you read that report, it was pretty big, but like when you read it, it's just like, almost systematic stuff that was going on there that it's hard to follow a footy team if that's the way they're going to treat certain individuals and and races and stuff, I suppose. So that's my footy team, and we're not looking too good at the moment, but hopefully, for the sake of Collingwood supporters, we can pick up a few wins in the back end in the middle of the season.
Yeah, that's right. Well, I'll go for North Melbourne, and that's a bit worse.
Oh,
mate, so.
Man, you guys might get your first win next week when we play you guys.
Yeah, hopefully. I'll probably go to that game, so fingers crossed we win. But yeah.
Do you get to many games down there?
Yeah, so I live quite close. So depending on like if I've footy umpiring on a weekend or something, I tend to go most weekends.
Yep. And what footy umpiring do you do? The boundary umpiring?
Yeah, field umpiring. So it gets
umpiring.
quite annoying with parents and players. Sometimes they often scream and yell at you. So,
mate, I can relate to that. That's what so after I dropped out of footy, my dad was involved in the umpiring association in Bendigo. He was a field umpire as well. And he kind of said to me, you should come and do the boundary and make some money. And so I did that for 2 years, and that's where I figured out I was half good at running. And then, did it for 2 years and then got into running after that. And I've got a lot of respect for people who do umpiring like yourself, because like it's hard, and you get like, you got to be fit, you got to concentrate. Like it's not easy work you're doing, and then you've still got meatheads, hanging over the fence or wanting to have a go at you about something, which is just, you got to put up with that stuff as well. So got a lot of respect for what you guys do.
Cheers, mate. And now we'll talk about running now, which is the strong suit. So for those that don't know, Brady's a 2:19 marathon runner, which is like I don't know, like 2:50 something per k. You probably know.
Nah, not quite. 3:19 per k.
3:19.
It's about 10 minutes every 3k.
Yeah, I think Kipchoge is like 2:50 per k or something. His world record. Yeah.
I should have agreed with what you said though. It would have made me look better.
So, just briefly describe like your training weeks, how like amazing the load you, Spency, and Brad do. So.
Yeah, so I run every day, and probably 5 or 6 days a week I'll run twice a day. So any week's probably between 120 and 160 Ks per week. Just some numbers for last year. I think I ran something like 7,500 Ks in 2020. I had 3 days like completely off, a couple of days with sickness. 1 day with a hangover, I think it was, maybe after our Christmas party for work. And it's kind of, so like a Monday is kind of it's an easy day. And when I say easy, it's all kind of like relative. Like Monday we'll do like 12 or 13K in the morning, and then probably 7K in the afternoon. So that'd be a 20K day. Tuesday we'll do some like faster stuff. So I might do, this Tuesday I did 8 by 1K reps. So we kind of run 1K pretty hard, stand around for 90 seconds, do that again, times 8, and we might do a 5K warm up and warm down. So that will be kind of a 18K morning. And then in the afternoon, do another kind of 6 or 7K. Wednesday, probably do like a 18 to 20K jog in the morning, and then like a 6 or 7K in the afternoon. Just really easy, but that will still be like a 25K day. Thursday be pretty similar to Wednesday, maybe just like a bit shorter though, like a 14 or 15K day. And then Friday we'll do some like threshold or tempo running. So kind of at a pace that I can kind of hold for 60 minutes, but we might do say like 3 or 4 by 8 minutes at that pace, or 10 minutes at that pace, or even like a 30-minute like cut down where we go, 7 out of 10 effort, 8 out of 10 effort, and then 8.5 out of 10 effort for 30 minutes. And with a warm up and cool down, that will be kind of close to 20K, and then another 6 or 7K in the afternoon. Saturday is another easier day where we'll do like an hour jog, which would be kind of like 13, 14K, and then maybe an afternoon run of 6 or 7K. And then Sunday is like long run day. So that's probably anywhere from 25 to 30K kind of when we're not training for a marathon. But if there's a marathon coming up, that turns into kind of like 35 to kind of 40K if there's a marathon coming up. So, yeah, it's kind of, I said to my training partner the other day, it's like a puzzle. Every week we sit down and you try to do all the runs throughout the week, and every run's kind of a puzzle piece. And then you get to Sunday afternoon and you want the puzzle to be finished, and you've got to almost do 52 of them throughout the year and just put them together. And yeah, that's like, I wouldn't recommend to anyone to try and go do that, but I've been doing this for probably 10, 15 years kind of thing. So I've got a lot of years experience and training my legs that my body can handle that stuff I just spoke about.
Yeah, no, it's incredible. I feel like for me, I couldn't do that because I saw your, like, if you're doing your double runs, like the evening jog or whatever, there's like 4:30 or something, that'd be like my threshold pace. So that's pretty astounding. Then like your fresh would be like anywhere between, I don't know, 3-minute Ks and 3:30 or something.
Yeah, it's kind of it's about 310, 308, 310 kind of thing for my threshold stuff. But it's all relative though. Like when I was your age, I was like just running under 10 minutes for 3K. Whereas now I can run that same pace for a marathon, like 42K. So it's just all, it's all years. You just got to keep training and keep putting the work in and things like that. And it's often people like compare, but it's not really fair to compare. Like you can't compare a 17-year-old to a 30. Yeah, exactly. So there's so many factors there to think about.
100%. And now we'll talk about the best running podcast in the world, the Inside Running podcast. So basically what kickstarted like you, Moose, and Brad doing that, and who does all the editing?
I do all the editing. I want to talk to you about that because So originally I had my own podcast called Tell Me Your Tales, which is pretty much like this. So but it was just I'm kind of like you do, talk to different people, not so much always runners. Sometimes I talk to just people that I always used to say, like people that just interest me or inspire me, or people that like I get motivated by. So like sometimes it was runners, sometimes it was just, like the local musician that I've kind of got to know over the years, this Aboriginal guy, Benny Walker, who I just always found that he was interesting, and I just would invite him over to my house and we just talk for 2 hours and we'd have a couple of beers and we'd just record a podcast. And it's amazing how well you get to know people when you sit down and talk to them for 2 hours or 90 minutes or whatever it is, because we're so in this world at the moment where we're always so busy and we've always got our phones in our hands, and like you don't have time to have those deep conversations with people. Whereas if you say, hey man, you got to do this in 2 hours, we're going to talk about some deep stuff, because otherwise it's going to be pretty awkward just, looking at each other. So I had this podcast called Tell Me Your Tales, and Brad was a guest on that. I think maybe episode number 7, and Julian Moose, he was a guest on it, maybe not episode number 4. And I didn't really know those guys too well, but I just thought, hey, they interest me. I'm going to call them on Skype, record it. They're going to be an episode of Tell Me Your Tales. And we did that. And then we were all doing the Berlin Marathon, maybe like a year later. So we started a bit of a spin-off podcast called The Road to the Berlin Marathon, which was still on Tell Me Your Tales. And we just got on there and spoke about our training every week. And then we all went over, we did that for 10 weeks, and we went over and raced the Berlin Marathon, and Julian won, I come second. Brad got injured in a few weeks before the race, so he didn't complete the race. And then when we came back, I just sent the boys an email just saying like, hey, I think we can actually start a running podcast. Like this doesn't have to be on my Tell Me Your Tales podcast. And I'd always listen to podcasts, and I really just wanted to make the show that I wish I could listen to. Like I wanted it to be like a reality component where people are talking about their own goals and running. I wanted it to have an interview. I wanted it to talk about like the new shoes that are out. I wanted it to talk about like the Australian running results. And yeah, that's what we did. We started Inside Running, it'd be about 182 weeks ago now, because we're in our 182nd episode, which came out yesterday morning. So we haven't missed a week. We've come out every Wednesday for all that time, and it's grown. It's we work with different brands and stuff now who sponsor different episodes, and We've hit over 1 million downloads. We're pretty big in different parts of the world. We've done a couple of live shows, so we might go to a running race and say to our listeners, hey, we're going to do an episode after the race. There's 150 tickets for sale, and we'll sell those out really easy. We've got merch, what I'm kind of wearing now, which kind of sells. And yeah, it's and we've done a couple of like little side projects where we'll get different hosts to kind of do their own show, which will go on our Patreon page. And so it's become like a little, like, I guess it was all just a passion project to start off with, but then it's got bigger that it had to become like a business, and we had to, trademark our name and register for our business address, and got a website, and like, you got to manage the social media, which I know you'd know all about. Like it's big now. Like at the start, it was just like, hey, get on Skype, talk rubbish about running for an hour, and then send it off to iTunes. But now it's kind of like, between the three of us, we've got to have an accountant. Like it's just, it's bigger and bigger now, and it's grown, and it's a good thing though. Like I'm definitely not complaining, because, we get to talk about running every week, and, it brings value to people's lives, brings value to our lives, makes us better runners. And it gives us opportunities to kind of promote the sport that we all love. So in a nutshell, that's how it started and how it's going at the moment.
No, we love to see it, mate. And I know we both do this a lot, but talk me through the editing. So you said you do them like hefty amount of editing. What's that like?
Yeah, so we record on Skype, which is not many people record on Skype anymore, but we always have from the start. We've recorded on Skype for so long that we had to have a different software running so we could record the conversation, whereas now Skype, you can actually record it. But I've got another, so I call those boys every Monday night, 7:30, or before that, I sit down on Sunday afternoon and I make our agenda, our show notes for the weekend, for like what we're going to talk, pretty much like I make the content about what we're going to talk about. So plan out the different segments we're going to do, put any results in there that we need to know about. Just kind of come up with a plan for what the show is going to look like. So that probably takes me an hour every Sunday just to come up with the skeleton, like doing the writing behind the scenes. And then we talk every Monday night. We record the conversation on Skype. After the conversation, which will go for about 60, 90 minutes, I will then download that as an MP3, put it into GarageBand, and then, put our intro music on, put our episode together. And then if someone's done an interview, we'll have that somewhere, and we'll put that at the end of our episode, and then do all the kind of fade in, fade out, send that to iTunes, and export it as an MP3 so it's a bit smaller. And then on Monday night, it goes to our Patreon supporters, and then they get to listen to it like 30 hours before everyone else, because they keep the show alive with their kind of financial contributions. So that's a bit of a reward for them. And then on Wednesday, we upload it to Podbean we use for our host. And then from Podbean, it goes to iTunes, Spotify, all the kind of catches and things like that. And then come Wednesday, we'll do like the social media post. And then if we're working with a brand, we might have to do, we might have to put certain pictures of their products on social media and stuff like that as well as part of the agreement. So, so like Sunday afternoon through to, and then we have another show called Road to Nowhere that 3 other people do, and they record on a Tuesday night. So Joel, so they record on a Tuesday night. So then, and they record late, like they start at like 8 o'clock, and I go to bed pretty early. So so I then wake up Wednesday morning at about 6ish, and I'll have the file waiting for me, and I'll do the same thing with their file to put that on Patreon. And then by Wednesday, it's kind of all finished. And then I have until Sunday to relax. And then Sunday, you got to start thinking about what's going to be in the next episode. And sometimes, and one of us would have done an interview somewhere as well. So, for example, Brad's doing an interview tomorrow, which will then go on the episode for next week. And then I might, there's some weeks where I might do an interview and it might not come out for 2 or 3 weeks, but you might have to find some time to do that as well. But podcasts, they're interesting because everyone thinks like, well, obviously they're free to listen to, but they're not free to make. Like just think about how many hours you put into it, like time's money. And then, you know, you got your hosting fees and your internet kind of fees, and little, not that they're massively expensive, but yeah, it's time away from your family and your hobbies or your homework or whatever it is as well. So yeah, hopefully people that listen to this and people that listen to us, they appreciate the work that goes in behind the scenes.
Yeah, 100%, mate. Props to you for doing the majority of your editing, because I know it takes lots of time. Yeah,
And I think it depends on how much you got to cut out as well. Like we're pretty lucky that we rarely have to edit any of the audio. Like it's all pretty good to, we can kind of export it and it's like, yeah, that's good to go kind of thing. We just got to
yeah,
put
that's
in the
right.
music and yeah. But like I couldn't imagine working on a show where you know, you've got to make 20 or 30 edits per piece of audio.
Yeah, for sure. We'll move on to the quote of the podcast now, which is push yourself because no one else is going to do it for you. Is there a quote or something you live by, Brady?
There's no one I live by. Like, yeah, nothing that I've got written above the bed or anything like that. But I do remember it's one I like, and I agree with it. It's the harder you work, the luckier you get. And I remember the CEO from Essendon, Xavier Campbell. He was from Echuca Moama, and he was back here one day, and I heard him speak, and he said that his whole speech that night was around that kind of theme. And I just, you know, you just work hard, and opportunities seem to open themselves up in a way. Like it's yeah. I just think it's really true to success if you do the right things and you're motivated and you're dedicated and all that kind of stuff, that all these kind of, you know, it might look like luck, but it's really just opportunities that you deserve kind of pop into your life, and things like that kind of come up and stuff. And probably like firsthand, like I've been really lucky. Like a couple of my sponsors I'm sponsored by Kia, so like the car company, and like I just, for no real reason, I just trained really hard, and I'd always help out in the local community and kind of volunteer for a couple of organizations. And then one day I just answered my phone. It was the guy from Kia who just wanted me to give me a car to drive around in. And I'm just like, this is just like, yeah. And he's like, would you be interested in being an ambassador for Kia, and would give you a car? And it's just like, you know, I didn't really, it looks like it's luck, but then he's like, no, we see you out there training and we know what you're doing in the community and all these kind of things, like hard work at one side. And then you just get these kind of little, you know, incentives, I guess, that you think are just luck, but they're not really. Like it's just a reward for the hard effort and stuff that you put in and stuff. So, yeah, I just always remember, like, it's just stuff's happened in my life that you just could have never predicted, but then it all comes back to just working hard and having some opportunities that pop up there. So, yeah, that's my one. Has anyone said that before?
No, yeah, there's time at it. So yeah,
good. Yeah, yeah,
yeah. Definitely include it in like the show notes. Seems like a very good quote.
yeah,
yeah.
Yeah.
The next segment I call the money segment. As you know, I talked to you earlier about the funny stories. It can be either from school, running, just your life, mate, that you want to share to viewers. You want to maybe stitch someone up there. Yeah, go for it.
Yeah, it's funny you say money, because my one's got to do with money. So at high school, and I told you we kind of had this big high school. It was at that campus like year 7 to 9, and it wasn't me, but like everyone got involved in it. And, no, I just told you I was a quiet kid at high school, but I was just definitely a sheep, definitely like following kind of this around. They used to do a thing called a money drop. Do they still do these in high schools?
You want to give a bit of an explanation around it?
So like there'd be a group of guys, usually like the popular kids or like the bullies or whatever, like the kids who are pretty out there. They'd go around and like this is before, we never had like debit cards and stuff at our school canteen. It was always cash. But these kids would go around like, and they'd get all the loose change pretty much off, walk around school and just go, hey, you got 10 cents yet? You got $1, whatever. And they'd build it up for, say they'd start on a Monday, and they'd let everyone in the school know that on the Friday there's going to be a money drop. So by the kind of, you know, Friday, they might have $50, $60 in just loose change in 5-cent pieces, 10-cent pieces, a couple of gold coins in there. and the anticipation would grow throughout the week. And of course, like no one would tell the teachers because they'd be onto it straight away, but they'd find a quiet area of the school that's pretty like kind of like boxed in. So like we used to have a room where the lockers were. So it was like one little door to get in there, not a huge room, but like you could fit a few people in there. And then they'd organise like on a Friday that they're going to do this like money drop thing where pretty much one person throws all the coins into the air. So it's pretty much raining money, and you've got like 200 teenagers trying to grab as many coins as they can. So it was just like organised chaos in there. People throwing elbows, people pushing, teachers didn't know what was going on. And what would happen like leading up to this at lunchtime, there'd just be mobs of people hovering towards this kind of like locker room where all this was going to happen. And as a school teacher now, it'd be like the worst thing ever if you're on yard duty and you didn't know why all these kids were like flocking towards the locker room. But when you told me this message today, this was the story I thought about. I'm like, yeah, I'm going to go with this one. These money drops, they were so stupid, so silly. As an adult now, I'm like, this is just immature. And like people would come out of there with like blood coming out of their nose, but they'd have like $1.50 in their hand. And you're like, you guys, I was always like outside looking through the window. I was too scared to get in there. But it was a pretty funny moment, just teenagers and seeing how they were acting. Just, silly and just group kind of mentality as well. It's quite interesting.
Yeah, for me, maybe not money drop, but I've experienced like outside of the canteen getting bullied like in year 7 for like $1 or something. So
well, that's what these guys would do. They'd walk around the school trying to find all this loose change, probably bullying it out of kids just so they can get a laugh and throw it up in the air.
Yeah, 100%. We'll talk about since you're here, mate, could you give a quick squiz on my Strava? Give me a few, I don't know, tips or something? Because I run for Melbourne Uni. I had a look. I've seen a few of your mates because I know Zach and Newman, doesn't he work for your running company as well as Nick Earl?
He's the boss.
A few times,
Yeah. Zach and Newman's the boss of our running company, runs a PB. So he's one of, there's three of us who own it, Zach, myself, and Matt Davey. But Zach does like all the work and stuff. So he's a good fella. He's in charge of putting the relay teams together, I think, this week, he said, for Melbourne Uni.
Oh, that's really good.
And then, Nick Earl, of course, we all know, and he works on the podcast as well on that other show. What's your name on Strava?
Jerry space, then NG, mate.
NG, I've got it here. Same as your Zoom name. I should have guessed that. Yeah, for sure. Give me, I'll live on Strava. So there you are, Flemington. Geez, you're following all the big dogs, Clifford, Rayner, Brett Robinson.
All the big dogs, yeah.
Let's have a look. 1948 at Parkrun a couple of runs ago.
Yeah, that was my flex. So it's good.
You got the is that the New Balance 1080 V11s?
1080, V10s. And I love the Pegasus as well. So
got the Kipchoge colorway.
Yeah. It's good, mate.
It's all looking good. You're all pretty consistent. Like whenever I look at somebody's Strava, I always want to make sure that they're like blue bars, like the skyscrapers there.
Yeah.
Which you've pretty much the whole year, you've kind of had some pretty consistent training, which is good. It's pretty, you kind of put me on the spot a bit to give you too many tips because I'm not 100% sure what you've been doing, but consistency looks pretty good there.
No, just a bit.
Which is the most important thing, consistency. You've got to have that.
My goal would be to run states this year, hopefully in cross country, maybe in like 1500 or 3K, see how I go. But we've got old schools next week. I'm at Princes Park. That should be good with a few mates just for fun.
And do they run like through the grass there, or are you going around the outside track?
I know it's 3K. I've done park run there, which is 5K, but I'm not sure how the 3K thing works. Probably just like 2 half laps around Princess, maybe.
Sounds like a pretty good cross country course though. Like it's pretty flat there and pretty good surface. Yeah.
That's good, mate. Thanks for the tips and the skyscrapers, but we'll move on now and talk about Moama because I didn't describe it very well before, but let's hear you describe it and give us an overview on good stuff they do down there.
Yeah, Moama's it's an interesting town because it's a Chuka Moama. So we got two towns
Yeah.
that one's on New South Wales, one's on Victoria, and then we have the Murray River going through the middle of our town. So which is weird because I can run out my front door in the morning and I'll start in New South Wales, run to Victoria, and then run to New South Wales again. So it was crazy during COVID time when they shut the borders. So like we live in New South Wales, so when you guys had that real bad outbreak down there,
Yeah.
we could live life normally in New South Wales in Moama, but 1 kilometre over kind of my shoulder, they had full lockdown kind of thing because they were part of Victoria. So that was weird. And then we had the army and stuff on the river to try to get checkpoints to go back and forth and police and things like that. So yeah, it's a really interesting situation. Even, the kids can drive cars at 17 in New South Wales, but then 18 in Victoria. So like really weird. 20,000 people here and yeah, just slow country living. It's just good. Like it's relaxing. A lot of like water sports like jet skis and wakeboarding and things like that. But yeah, it's a good place to live.
Yeah, speaking of driving, I was looking forward to running Giles Park, but I've got my learner's driver's license test on the same day, so I'm like, I got to prioritize that.
Good idea. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, good idea. And Giles Park will be there next year, be there the year after. You'll have an opportunity at it.
Yeah, that's true. I heard you talking about the Benny Go Bats and the Div 2 and all that. No, it seems very interesting.
Yeah, well, we're looking good and we've got a good team this year. So hopefully we can win Division 2 and get up with Melbourne Uni in Division 1 next year.
Yeah, no, great. All right, so this segment is called Quick Hands. You know, the quick hands. Essentially, it's 5 quick questions. So the first quick hands question is pineapple on pizza, yes or no?
Yes.
Is English or maths?
Maths. Yep. Numbers, man.
Numbers, man. A little Strava. Who's your favorite runner?
Good question. Yeah, when I was a kid, it was Craig Mottram.
Yeah.
But yeah, really looked up to him and stuff. But now, probably Stewie. Love the way Stewie races. Yeah, I'll go with Stewie. Stewie McSwain.
Normally this would be for people living in Melbourne, but what would your favorite place in Melbourne be, like, to visit?
Yeah, I get down there a bit. I'm going to say like Collingwood, like Brunswick Street, Smith Street, like around that kind of area. Even like the Collingwood Athletics track's good. Like it's close to the road there. It's only 6 lanes. Like it just feels real intimate. So yeah, go with Collingwood area.
Yeah, it's really good there, except sometimes I went there last time and the gates got me, mate. It was lane 1, lane 2 gates got me. So yeah, bugger.
It's the same here, mate. We drive over to Shepparton, which is like an hour drive, and then they've got the gates on there. So we're like, yeah, can't even use it anyway. It's a pain.
Yeah, and last quick hands question, common phrases used. So for me, I say fair enough. I say like and too much to like cover the time and all that. So what do you know?
Yeah, what do I I remember Julian Spence, my co-host, he pulled me up on saying something one time, saying it too often. I think it was like, yeah, right. Like I'd ask a question. Yeah, I'd ask a question in an interview and then someone would give an answer and I'd just go, yeah, right. Yeah, right. And it was just like, yes, just try to, and like, just stop doing that kind of thing. Like it's probably just like a nerves thing or just you're trying to take up some time kind of thing.
Yeah, even though like you try to stop it, it happens. Just like now, I just said yeah, because like you need something before the question is asked or something. So
yeah, and you want to like accept the answer. So you're like, yeah, exactly. Right, gotcha. Like, yeah. So yeah, it's funny how it all works.
Sure. So the next question is sent by my running bud Sol. So I know you're not the shoe geek. I know Moose is, but if you could recommend 2 pairs of shoes, what would they be?
The Nike Next Percent. Like that's just the best shoe to race in and run fast in and stuff. It's one of my favorites always. Yeah. Run all my PBs in it and just love that shoe. What else do I like? Oh, and the Asics Glide Ride number 2. That's a really cool shoe as well. That's just like more of a jogging shoe, but it's got like a rocker in it. So like when you hit the ground, it kind of like rocks you a bit, and that's a good shoe as well.
Oh, that's cool. Might have to check it out.
Yeah,
And
recommend them.
On your Strava, just quickly, it says you've got 4,000K in the Nimbus lights. I know, surely that's not, you just couldn't be bothered changing it, yeah? Sure.
Yeah, well, yeah, you're fully correct. No, because I'd never tracked the Ks on my shoes, and then I remember when I got this pair of Nimbus lights, I thought, I'm going to actually track this pair for once. So I kind of added them in because I just can't be bothered doing all that stuff. So I just added them in, and and then I just after 2 or 3 days, I'm like, nah, I'm sick of tracking these. So that's my default pair, and I just leave them in there. But it's funny, people ask me like, I won Canberra half marathon a couple of weeks ago, and a few people messaged me going like, did you really race in those shoes? And I'm like, no, of course it's not. They're not even a pair of racing shoes. But it's funny that people see that, and it's probably good advertising though for Asics.
Yeah, that's true.
Okay, because I got a few followers on Strava, and every time someone clicks on my run, they're like, hey, is in the Nimbus lights again?
Yeah, that's true, mate. I've got two more questions.
I should hit him up for some money, you reckon?
Yeah, maybe sponsorship or affiliate or something. Yeah.
Yeah,
for sure. My final 2 for you. For 2021, obviously it's gone quick. We're already like pretty much close to halfway through. So what would be your top 3 goals for the rest of the year, Brady?
Yeah, so I want to run a good marathon. So I'm going to maybe do like Melbourne Marathon in October. So I want to improve my PB like massively. So that's one goal. Second goal is probably not run. Did you want running goals or any goals?
No, any goals, mate. Go for it.
Yeah, like this, I do this job at the moment, like in schools, like 2 days a week, teaching kids to it's like this tutoring program where they've got like teachers who aren't full-time. The Victorian government gave schools money to kind of pay extra teachers to come in and help kids improve who didn't improve through COVID last year. So I kind of work with like special groups of kids, and just to hopefully see them improve. Like hopefully the government money's spent well, and I kind of work with them a couple of times a week and kind of watch them improve and give them tips and things like that. So that's a bit of a goal. And then I guess the other goal is about just getting to more running events. Like we hardly got to any in 2020, and then you just miss seeing friends who you only see at running events and things like that, and getting back into the running community probably is another goal for the back end of 2021.
Yeah, fair enough. Those are really good goals. And hopefully you can smash them the remainder of the year.
Hopefully, yeah.
Hopefully. And the last question, as you know, mate, everyone asks me one question. You can ask me one question. Nothing but the podcast, far away.
I was going to ask you, because I usually ask people when I interview people what books they've been reading. Like, have you got a book recommendation at the moment?
Well, I've got
what's on the bedside table?
Yeah, mate. I've got a stacked ton, but we'll go through.
Come prepared.
So
you've got to like them though. You can't just say like, year 11 maths book or something.
No, I enjoy some of my books, but The Boy Swallows Universe.
It's a brilliant book. I've read it. Yeah, it's one of my favorite books.
It's an amazing book.
I didn't like the first like 50 pages. I found it a bit hard to follow.
Yeah.
And then after that, it gets really good. Yeah.
Obviously the Resilience Project. I do their gratitude, empathy, and mindfulness stuff every single day. I think it's amazing. People need to check it out, and it will just better their lives in general, make them happier.
We're trying to get Hugh Van Cuylenberg on our podcast. Like he listens to our podcast. Yeah. So we're trying to get him on as a guest. So hopefully we can snag him.
No, that's really good. If you can't, I've got a contact from the Resilience Project. So he does like the school manager type stuff, which I had on like a couple of weeks ago. But
cool. Yeah, I did see that on your Instagram. We've been DMing him a bit. So like I haven't asked him yet, but we've just been trying to just chat to him and just see, just sliding into his DMs and see how he goes.
Oh, that's really good because he runs for Melbourne Uni as well. So you got a bit of connections from Zach. really
Yep.
good.
Yep.
And a few more. So Darius Boyd, I just found this off like Kmart. He's a NRL player, so it was good seeing his story. And this year 11 book, The Glad Shout, is pretty interesting about like climate change and how it affects people. So
Yeah, right. Looks good. I wasn't expecting that, mate. You've come prepared with that question, with that answer.
yeah,
Well
nice.
done. They're all good books by the looks of things.
Yeah. What about yourself, Brady? Any recommendations? I think I saw in your story the other day a book you were reading.
Yeah. What did I I read Honeybee. That's another book, kind of similar to like Boy Swallows Universe. I think Honeybee was book of the year 2020. And then Boy Swallows Universe was book of the year 2018 or 19, whatever year that came out. I just went to like Dimmick's books of the years and just read through some of those ones. But I've just been given, give me 2 seconds. I've just been given this one. It's called Mayflies, and it's about friendship and death and stuff, actually. One of my friends from Melbourne, me and him like share recommendations all the time, and I've just read, 15 pages of it last night, but looking forward to getting into that one now. So,
Yeah.
Mayflies by Andrew Hagen. So, I try to do a book a week. So it just helps me relax, and I just enjoy reading. And it's kind of amazing that we can just tap into so many good resources from amazing authors.
Yeah, for sure, mate. It was really great having you on, mate.
No worries.